Hi and welcome to a new episode of me talking movies. Who am I? I'll tell you in a moment. But coming up today, I'm going to be talking Bruce Willis and his Die Hard franchise. But before we get into that, thanks for stopping by. My name's Beverly. Now I just love talking about movies, talk with my partner, family, friends, work colleagues, anyone who'd listen actually. I've watched a lot of movies over the decades, all sorts of genres. There's many that I like and love, and I'm hoping to share these with a wider audience because some of you might be interested. Because now we're spending a lot more time at home. Obviously we've had a couple of years of this pandemic, so we're spending a lot of time at home. We're accessing the various streaming channels. Some of you might still have the odd DVD hanging around, so it'd be good to revisit some of the oldest, some of the classics. But I'll also probably touch on new stuff coming out as well. One thing to note, I'm a Marvel comic movie nut. I add that in because I didn't grow up reading all the comics. I'm sorry, put it out there. However, I've gotten into the movies, so at different points I'll be touching on the various ones in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you like this video, really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up to say you like it. And whilst you're here, why not subscribe? Because I'm a small channel, a new channel, you may be hard to find me when I bring out some new videos. So just by clicking the subscribe button, it's just like adding a favourite, okay? You don't get spammed. You'll just get, if you click the notification bell as well, what you get from that is as soon as I drop a new video, you'll just get a notification. You just get the one notification, so you're not going to get spammed. But it's just, as I said, it's like having your favourites, and that way you're not going to miss out when I post some movies. And today's may not be your favourite, but who knows, something coming up might be of interest to you. And you might think, oh, actually, what's Beverly watching nowadays? Or what has she watched? Or what is she due to watch? You just might be interested. Stay tuned. Today I'm going to be talking about Bruce Willis, and in particular his Die Hard franchise. Now, why Bruce Willis? Well, back in March it was announced by his family that Bruce, at the age of 67, is stepping back from acting. He's developed this neurological it's not a disease, a neurological ailment called aphasia, which, from what I understand, it's the inability or the deterioration of the ability to communicate, whether that's in speaking or even in writing. And apparently that's been happening over the years, and they've kind of made the decision that, you know, he's not going to be acting anymore, which is, you know, unfortunate. But he's got such a back catalogue of things. But what me and my partner decided to watch was, or go back and watch, was all his Die Hard franchise of films. Now you're thinking Die Hard, yes, you thinking the first one. We're taking it back some time. The first one he did was in 1989, so we are talking nearly 35 years ago that he made that first one. And so just going to touch on just the whole, he actually made 5 in the end. So we're going to be touching on some of those. And I just happen to have my partner's collection. Now, this is the Die Hard quadrilogy. So this covers the first 4 of the films he made. And then he decided, I think it was about 6 years later, he'll just make one more for good luck, and I'll touch on that one later. So, as I take these out. So as I said, the first one was Die Hard. Okay. This one came out in 1989, and Die Hard films, I think particularly the first 2 or 3, they were renowned for being Christmas films. They came out at Christmas, and at least the first 2 were set around the Christmas period. I believe it was Christmas Eve in both of them. Die Hard 1989. These were a gang of terrorists kind of invading a high-rise block, and the main villain in this is played by the late Alan Rickman. He's made so many films, I think, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, through to, I think, was he in Love Actually? No, I think it is Love Actually. I digress. But anyway, the brilliant Alan Rickman plays the leader of these terrorists that invade a high rise, and he holds a number of people hostages. One of those hostages just happens to be John McClane, which is Bruce Willis's character, happens to be John McClane's wife, Holly. The premise of the whole movie is that John McClane becomes this hero because he's going to have to save the day. He's going to have to save the hostages because there's the plans to blow up the building with these hostages in. So John McClane is there to save the day, and it's your high octane action movie. Now we are talking late 80s, so perhaps actually it came out in 1989, so when it was made, I think kind of perhaps a couple of years before that, perhaps 87, 88. So it is 80s, and compared to special effects now, some of it's a little bit kind of cheesy, but you know what? It's a really good film to watch. I'm sure they'll be putting them back on again, probably over the Christmas period this year. But yeah, definitely one to watch. And then we move on to Die Hard 2. Die Hard 2 came out in 1990. Funnily enough, it's a year after Die Hard comes out, so we probably made these back to back. So Die Hard 2 takes place on a plane. I say takes place on a plane. It involves many planes. It involves terrorists kind of overtaking an airport's air traffic control system, and they hold all the planes in the air. If you've ever driven past airports where you're seeing airplanes that are coming into land and far off they're queuing up, well, just imagine quite a number of these planes queuing up in the sky, and John McClane's wife Holly happens to be on one of them. So again, he's saving the day. He's trying to intercept the terrorists and what they're doing, and yes, eventually, and one of the planes happens to crash, but that's with the bad guys in, and he helps the rest of the planes land, and he saves the day. It's brilliant. Another one, again, it was shown at Christmas. The third one, Die Hard with a Vengeance. This one came out 1995. This is Bruce Willis teaming up with Samuel L. Jackson. I would say they fed off each other really, really well. So you've got John McClane, yes, being the hero, but Samuel L. Jackson's role is an unlikely hero, but he eventually teams up with John McClane character throughout the movie. And the main villain in this one is another great English actor, Jeremy Irons, who happens to be playing the brother of the character that Alan Rickman played in Die Hard. So hence the vengeance part. And again, playing terrorists, yeah, there's always around terrorists. They cause a lot of destruction around New York, especially in the downtown Manhattan area. But of course, he does save the day whilst trying to get round Jeremy Irons' character in all the different things he gets them to do. He gets them running across town. They must get to a certain place by a certain time. If not, certain bombs will go off. They've planted different bombs. And it is great to see how Bruce and Samuel, you know, play off one another. They do make a great couple. Definitely another good film. Very high energy action film. And you know John McClane's going to save the day in the end, but how? And it was great revisiting these films because it just reminded you how brilliant they are. After Die Hard with a Vengeance, he had a break of about 12 years. And in 2007, Die Hard 4.0. So it was the fourth one in the trilogy. But the reason for the 4.0 is this involves a lot of hackers. And you've got a number of hackers that are called upon to help this, let's say, major mastermind, to help bring down the government, you know, kind of bring down the country, you know, the US, and I think ultimately they're thinking the world as well. And you know, John McClane, he is called upon to kind of help work out what's going on, and he stumbles across one young hacker who's told to go and bring in without realising he's one of the targets as well. So he's working with this young hacker. The actor is Justin Long in his younger days, and it's brilliant how he kind of using intelligence to kind of help John McClane's character kind of understand what's going on. But again, high octane. The special effects have gotten a lot better by this film now, so we are talking the mid-noughties now, but lots of action from beginning to end. And now, because it's bringing us into the more technical minded Sophia, you'll really kind of get your head around this, and it's just really interesting the way it's plotted and how it all ends. And actually in this one you see Bruce Willis's daughter. Now, I didn't mention the children before. They appeared in Die Hard as small children, boy and a girl. You see them briefly in the house, and they play a little part in the terrorists bit. No, actually they play a part with a particular journalist, busybody journalist that appears in Die Hard and Die Hard 2. But now we are talking sort of from Die Hard to Die Hard 4, we are talking 18 years. So we've got a grown-up daughter who happens to be played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Now recently she just married Ewan McGregor. And they both had a baby. Well, they both had a baby but as a couple they had a baby last year. But yes, definitely brilliant film. Then we had a breakup, so that came out in 2007. 2013, he obviously went back and decided to make another film. Now this was the last one that he made, but this one was called A Good Day to Die. And this one takes place in Russia. And this one you come across his son, who happens to be undercover, but he doesn't know this. And he's going there to rescue his son. Again, kind of lots of terrorists. And you think this is now 2013. So again, high action, special effects are fantastic, loads of explosions, loads of car chases. Yeah, a great film to watch. I don't want to give too much away with these films because they're high action. Bruce Willis's character John McClane's going to save the day. Yes, he gets injured throughout the different films, but he's the hero at the end and is saving the day. There's a lot obviously with his family involved, where he's saving his family and various different characters. But I would say yes, you could binge watch them over a whole weekend. I think we spaced them out over a couple of weekends. And yeah, if you like that type of film, if you're into your action hero, these are fantastic films. When Bruce Willis was making them in the 80s, gosh, around that same time you had Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You would have had, and obviously, Terminator was around that time as well. So we're talking the 80s. You would probably have had Rambo and things like that. So all those big action hero movies. But obviously latterly they were competing with other types of action movies, and then even the Marvel movies. So, but I think a brilliant franchise of films to watch and play homage to Bruce Willis and that character. So there you go. That's my kind of synopsis overview of Bruce Willis and paying tribute to him in his Die Hard days. If you like this video, we appreciate the thumbs up, and as I say, small growing channel, so if you subscribe it keeps me in your favourites, so it's a lot easier to find me. But then if you click the notification bell as I drop a movie, you'll be notified straight away. Thanks for watching. Until next time.